If your circle isn't motivating you, if your circle isn't inspiring you, Todd, you don't have a circle, you have a cage.
Hmm.
So it's about time to break that cage.
Hello and welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it. Hey, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer, and excited to have Edgar Zavala on today. Edgar, how are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. I'm doing great. It's a blessed day, and I'm ready to get after it, and a pleasure having you on the call or being on the call with you, Todd, and having this conversation today.
Awesome. So a little bit about Edgar. He is a part of Global Financial Impact, and he's a kid from Brooklyn, raised by a single mother, to a Marine Corps veteran, or became a Marine Corps veteran, and then turned multiple six-figure entrepreneur. And he's proof that your past does not define your future. So, um, and we're gonna dive into a lot of things, including the 5F formula, and really some blueprints for financial independence. So, Edgar, I want to let you take a little bit more time and give our listeners a bit more about your background, and then we'll dive in.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, so, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, raised there my entire life, like I tell, most people. And growing up in New York, there's, a lot of in inner cities like that. Statistically speaking, there's not a lot of opportunity for growth, right?
Mm.
It's you end up, in a gang, incarcerated. You know, you might not be here anymore, or you just end up working a 9 to 5. Unless you go to a really good school. So growing up in Brooklyn, I had a good upbringing because my mom, she had a strong foundation. She was powerful, smart, driven, but she was a very hard worker. But I hated seeing her work really, really hard. And I started equating, looking at it as a kid. I said, okay, well, hard work doesn't necessarily create wealth, right? It could create sustainability, but doesn't create wealth. And I wanted to get out of Brooklyn. And the best way to do that, I said, well, college isn't for me. I don't know if I want to hear a professor talk all day and take notes. I already did that in high school. So that's when I listened to Marines and got a chance to get out of Brooklyn, travel the world, met a lot of new faces, a lot of new places, got a chance to get exposure. I thought growing up that New York City was the center of the universe, right? That's how most New Yorkers are, right? We think
Mm-hmm.
that growing up, I said, hey, Florida's a bunch of Cubans because of Scarface. I thought that Texas was just cowboys. I thought California was a bunch of surfer guys and everything in the middle, even though I got world history and American history and, geography, everything in the middle is just land, right? In my own head. And so military, after the military, became a blue collar guy, did a good amount of time in that, made a good amount of money, was making about, 4 to 5, was making about a good 10 to 12 grand a month. And then from there, I kind of plateaued a little bit, and that's when I found entrepreneurship, and I got into this journey, and my life's never been the same, and I'm super grateful, super blessed. So yeah,
What was your blue collar? What were you doing?
yeah. So I was a wind turbine technician. So I was a travel technician, and I was technically like a renewables technician, right? So I started in wind, and I was climbing 300 to 500 foot towers 3 times a day, 6 days a week.
Jeez.
And I don't know about you, Todd, but I'm sure most people want to keep their feet on the ground. I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna do something after the military, I'm an adrenaline junkie. I like just doing crazy stuff. So I was like,
You
let me go
get
ahead
that.
and climb these towers, yeah, for money. And the first tower I climbed, Todd, it was fun. I thought it was like an adult jungle gym. And then the second tower I climbed, I said, man, what career did I just pick right now? I'm about to be climbing these for a good amount of time. So that's what I did as a travel technician.
Man, you were probably in some amazing shape though at that
Oh,
at that
absolutely, 100%. My cardio was up there. Oh man, I was toned. Now I'm like that bod, right? Because I'm on the desk eating and on back-to-back meetings. So
Sounds like
it
he's got to
was,
start climbing some towers again for a little while, and you'll
I
get
don't
right
know
back
about
to it.
that. I don't know about that. I might do it for fun, but
Yeah,
no, that's not in the schedule no more.
that's good. But look, that path created who you are today, right? Going from this hardworking mother who you watched, even though she maybe struggled financially. I think that's really valuable. I mean, I watched my parents maybe not struggle quite as financially as your mom, but I watched them, struggle, work really hard. And I think it's super valuable having a really hardworking uh, parent at home.
Yeah,
What do you
absolutely.
think to
I
that?
agree. Yeah, I agree 100%, Todd. I think that at the end of the day, when you're growing up, two things happen. Either you become like your parents or you do the exact opposite.
Mm,
And for me, because I grew up with a single mother, there was no male figure or male role at that point in time. And I could only learn from my mom for so much after a certain amount of time frame. And then I had to find leadership in other ways through, coaches, through mentors, through maybe
mm,
specific teachers or and whatnot, or looking just in my environment, at other adult males.
yep.
And but I saw the foundation was consistency, discipline, and unwavering. And my mother would never complain. I would never see her complain. She would never show it. And that's the kind of thing that, most parents do is that they walk into the door before they walk in. They put that mask on or they put that shield on and they come in and then they don't want to put that on their kids. So I'm super grateful that my mother, she held it down. I honestly growing up, I thought I couldn't even tell that she was what's the word? That kind of job was kind of like breaking her down in a way, right? Physically in her
Mm.
job that she was doing. I couldn't even tell. I thought she was a machine. And now that I am an adult, I look back, I said, wow, she's a hard charger for sure.
That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's amazing. Your influences and the people around you really affect who you are. Did you go out and actually seek mentors, seek people to kind of guide you, or was it just kind of started to happen, or how did that go? Were you purposeful about just really finding the right people?
I guess it was a little combination of both, right? Because there comes a point in time where you get a fork in the road, right? Where you start seeing that what you're currently doing isn't working or might not get you to your goals. And then it's kind of like the RAS system where you start looking for things that could potentially get you to your goals. And at that point in time, I was already 3 years into being a wind turbine technician. And I kind of plateaued. Like I said, I knew what tomorrow looked like,
Mm,
what 3 days looked like, the following week looked like, my next 3 months looked like, and it was this perpetual cycle. And I felt like I was stagnant. And if you're not growing, you're dying, as we know, right, Todd? If you're not progressing, and
yeah,
progress is
absolutely.
happiness. So all of a sudden, I felt stuck. I felt plateaued, and I'm in my faith, right? And God bless me because God puts us through certain trials and tribulations for a reason, for growth. And in that moment, as I plateaued and as I felt like there was nothing else, an opportunity came in front of me to put me in a path to entrepreneurship and mentorship and coaching and, fellowship. And in that moment, most people make a decision. You got to get, comfortable being uncomfortable. And it takes friction to make change. And having a 9 to 5 and having a job with, benefits and whatnot, it's comfortable. Most people look at that and they go, nah, that's not gonna work. Let me just keep doing what I'm doing because it's safe. And they operate in fear. But as we know, Todd, fear is false evidence appearing real. And I said, you know what? This path right here, I'm not happy, I'm not fulfilled because I see a lot of my coworkers in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, and they're still doing the same thing.
Mm,
And I said, is that my future? So then I just looked over here and I got uncomfortable with friction, made a decision, and it led me down that path where then I started getting into those rooms, opening doors, shaking the right hands, having the right conversations, and getting the right people to mentor and coach me because I had a paradigm shift. Once
mm,
I had a paradigm shift, I was open to being coachable. Before I had a paradigm shift, Todd, I had ego. And as we know, ego is not your amigo, right? So it was my way or the highway. And because of the money I was making at the time, Todd, I was the big fish in the little pond. No one I knew personally, whether from the military growing up, was making the kind of money I was making as a travel technician.
mm.
So I was in that fork of the road right there, Todd. So I would say that it's a little bit of both. Change your paradigm shift, start looking at your current situation, and when you make a paradigm shift, your brain is going to automatically start looking for things that can kick you in that pathway to success.
I love that you took the time to actually look around and go, is this where I want to be? You're looking at the people that are basically maybe a couple steps in front of you or few years in front of you, 40, 50 year old. And you're going, man, this is my path that I'm heading towards what there are. Is that where I want to be? You're able to actually have that awareness and then go, okay, I'm just getting, complacent with where I'm at. I have to paradigm shift, right? I have to have this shift in order to get to where I want to go. And I agree. I mean, like you said, if you're not growing, you're dying. And it is so true. You have to always be challenging yourself. Otherwise, I guess for me, it's like, what's the point? Like, if I'm not challenging myself, what's the point? Like,
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I have to. I kind of feel like for me, like, God didn't put us here on this earth to just be complacent.
Yep, exactly. I mean, think about it. We're meant to be challenged. We're meant to adapt. We're meant to evolve. We're meant to get better.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you're not putting yourself in situations where you have to get challenged or you have to grow, then you're not going to get better, whether it's personally, professionally, financially. And the problem is that people get stuck in that cycle where they're capped financially, they're capped career-wise, they're capped in their personal life, and
Yep.
that's where being anxious, depression, regret, that all starts to, that seed starts to grow, and then you see those people who've been in a career for 20, 30 years because it was sustainable and they completely hate themselves or they hate their lives or they hate their outcomes. And but life's about decisions, right, Todd, at the end of the day. And that's why I say the longer you wait, the less you make.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
you have to make a decision as soon as possible, or else like compound interest can go both ways.
Yeah.
There's negative compound interest and positive compound interest.
Well, I think too is you have to make the decision. Like once you start getting that in your brain and start thinking like there's got to be a different way, you have to really dive into that and follow that lead and meditate about it, pray about it, whatever, but to really just follow that lead and then go after it. Because what a lot of times dreams die because of inaction. That happens so often that people have this thought, they have this dream. I mean, I've heard it from my parents, I've heard it from relatives, I've heard it from friends or friends of my parents. Like, oh, I had this great invention, or I had this great idea, or whatever, and I wish I would have taken advantage of it because, oh man, I thought about XYZ that's out there in the market right now, and that owner is now a
Yeah.
billionaire. I wish I would
Wow.
have done that. Well, yeah, but you thought about it, you didn't take action, and then that dream just goes away. It just goes boom,
Yeah.
gone.
Yep. Yep. Todd, it says that you'll find the most businesses, the most unwritten books, the most unwritten songs, it's in the grave.
Hmm.
How many
Wow.
people took their dreams, their goals, their
Think about that.
aspirations, books, they took it to the grave. And like inventions that never got invented because of fear, because of doubt. And I see all the time, at the end of the day, faith and fear both demand of you to believe in something you cannot see. So if they both have the exact same ingredient, then
Which
why
one's going to
believe?
control you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which believe, why go in fear? And sometimes, Todd, God puts it in our heart, right? When you get that, that kind of like desire for more, that's God putting it in your heart.
Hmm.
And you have to act on it, like you just said, Todd, or else time is limited, and the clock's gonna keep spinning regardless. I call
Yeah.
it all the time. I call it the success clock. The success clock is if you're driven, if you're ambitious, if you have a strong why, you can become successful. The only difference is, do you want to become successful in 20 years? Do you want to have the life of the life of your dreams in 15, in 10, in 8, in 5, in 3, or in a year? That's all it is. And for me, I said, well, I am not happy where I'm at. I found this thing. I have this fellowship, this mentorship. I don't know what the ingredient looks like because we all unfortunately don't have a magic crystal ball, right, Todd?
Yeah.
And people want the easy cutter, the cookie cutter,
Yeah.
like a cookbook kind of formula. But you just have to go for it, have fun, and just try. Why not try? What's the worst? I say all the time, if you try and you fail, you're right back to square zero. Nothing changes. Okay, so yeah, that's what I believe.
Yeah. I love that. So I want to talk, Edgar, about the 5F formula. You've got this 5F formula. I definitely read about it, and it's awesome. So I want to go that direction. What's the 5F formula, and then we'll kind of dive into some of the details and why you would think it's important.
Yeah, so the 5F formula is something that our organization believes in here at Global Financial Impact, which is an amazing platform that has changed my life forever and has built me my wealth and my net worth. And with that being said, money isn't everything, right, Todd? So the problem with a lot of businesses and a lot of organization and a lot of when it comes to entrepreneurship is we're so focused on the currency. We're so focused on the dollar
Mm.
sign and then we don't establish the right values. So for us, we believe in the 5F formula: faith, family, fitness, finance, and fun. Number one is faith. If you don't believe in something, you'll fall for anything. I tell people all the time, what holds you accountable? What is your higher power? Who do you speak to when no one else is around? What kind of conversation are you having at night? Are you praying? And sometimes we get so caught up in this worldly life with worldly adversity and worldly problems that we tend to forget how can we take a step back, have a conversation with our creator, and see what can make us move forward and be aligned. So that's number one, faith. Next is family. Well, why is it we're doing this for, Todd? Who are we doing it for? Well, what's our why? What's our drive? What's our motivation? And when it's me, 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 you're not going to become successful. But when it's about other people, you will become successful. And having a healthy life is having a good relationship with your loved ones, right? Your parents, your kids, your grandparents, so on and so forth. Even maybe people that aren't in blood with you, right? So faith, family, fitness. Fitness is everything. Health is wealth. Health is wealth.
Yep.
There's a lot of people right now, I'm sure we can agree, Todd, that they would rather switch places with someone who has nothing in the bank if they can get their health back.
Yeah.
$1 million is not going to be able to bring people back to life or maybe cure a certain disease.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
that's
what's the point of having it at all if you can't do anything, right? If you're
for
just,
sure.
I mean, man, if you're so unhealthy that you can't enjoy the wealth, what was the point of getting the wealth in the first place?
Absolutely, 100%. So take care of your body and think about it. It's amazing how it works because when you take care of your body, all of a sudden your mind starts operating in a different format and then you're more sharper, you're more clearer, you're more driven, you're more focused, and then you can go ahead and become successful with your endeavor. So faith, family, fitness, finances. Now we get to the finance, right? Because at the end of the day, unfortunately, everything revolves around money. So you have to have the right foundations when it comes to finances and money so that you can breathe, so that you can focus on, taking your family to those vacations, being able to have a luxury lifestyle, whatever that looks like towards you, right? Whether you want to have a beach house, whether you want to live in the woods, right? Some people just love that, maybe in the city. And the last one is fun. Eventually, notice how fun is the very last one. When you follow those blocks, those pillars, fun is going to be fulfillment because people are looking for fun through artificial means,
Mm,
whether it's partying, whether it's certain vices, whether it's fake compliments, whether it's likes on social media.
mm.
Um, so I'd say those are the 5S right there.
Yeah, the fun part is that's sometimes a challenge. For me, I mean, I have fun almost every day. Just doing what I do, I think that's the most important part about it. But how do you balance having a successful business, busy? How do you balance all of this stuff? Like maybe a mistake that people make doing it, or like, yeah, how do
Yeah.
you balance it all? Let's start with that one.
Yeah, I would say number one, you have to have a clear schedule, right? And the moment because at the end of the day, we only have so much time, right? In a
Yeah.
week, month, in a year, and you gotta start breaking it down. Okay, from this time to this time, what's important to me? What I want to prioritize first? Do I want to prioritize business first? Do I want to prioritize my health, my wealth, my mental, my family first? So you have to start coordinating your schedule and bring order into your life. And once you start, scheduling what's important to you and what not, it allows you to breathe a little bit. I say all the time, what's your green time? AK, what's your money time? So from this time to this time, it's strictly business. you're focused, you're dialed in. Anything after that or before that, whether you're self-developing, whether you're meditating, whether you're praying, whether you're reading the Bible, whether you're with your family, make that priority. But don't start
Yeah.
mixing the two because the problem is that a lot of people, they want to do business during their family time or they want to do business during their, self-development, praying time. And then they want to do the praying time and the self-development during the business time. And that's how it gets your head is on a swivel now. You're spinning multiple plates. So
Yeah.
definitely have a great schedule. And if you have an amazing family, have a conversation with your family and say, okay, this is our time frame. And I'm doing this time because I'd rather sacrifice now or the things we want to become the sacrifice. So allow me to sacrifice some time away from the family to build for our future. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Love it. Love it. Um, you're a proponent of building generational wealth. Obviously, we've been talking about other things, but we've also been talking about wealth building. How do if a lot of people, including myself, come from families that don't have a lot of wealth in them, right? They didn't have
Sure.
that rich uncle. They didn't come, you know, parents weren't wealthy. And maybe
Yeah.
they even came from poverty as well. How do you build that generational wealth? Maybe being that first person to do it in your family.
Yeah, that's a really great question right there, Todd. And that's something that for everybody's gonna look a little bit different, depending on your upbringing, depending on your resources, on your environment, your circle, your aspirations. But I would say like the fundamental building blocks to if you're gonna be the first one to break generational wealth, is like I said, you have to have that paradigm shift where you have to take a step back and look at your ancestry or look at your parents or grandparents and see what they're doing. And obviously, we have generational debt. We have generational curse where we're passing on those bad habits or we're passing on those addictions or those vices or we're passing on those, false myths about money. So you have to break that apart. You have to be the first one to put a stop to it and say, okay, perfect. Let me have a paradigm shift. Let me start looking at successful people. Let me start studying people who build wealth. Let me start reading the right books. Let me start watching the right videos. Let me start taking the wrong propaganda out of my mind, which is like, okay, hey, go to school, do school, go to college, get a degree, get a job, work forever, have a 401k. Take a step back and look at what that creates. Nothing wrong with that, but just take a back and look at that creates. And if that's not for you, then guess what? Make a change. The next thing I would say is start investing in your skill sets because people often make money off their time but not really off their skill set and their value. And so I say, stop trading time for money, start leveraging your time for money and get paid off your value. So how can you become valuable towards the marketplace? That's number two. And then number three is find a mentor, find a coach, or getting closer to a community or a circle where people are finding success and people that you never thought would have found a success. Me right here, Todd, I'm a kid from Brooklyn. And I'm not supposed to be here. Statistically, I'm not supposed to be here right now making multiple six figures working from home on track to make seven figures and the next 5 years be worth eight figures. That's just not supposed to happen. But because I got in those rooms, I shook the right hands, and you are the some of the five people you hang around with the most. So if you hang out with five millionaires, you will be the six. But if you hang out with five drug addicts and five people who are alcoholics, you might be the six. And if you're not, well, guess what? You're not gonna grow with that. So I would say those are the main pillars or the fundamentals to really be the first one in your family and your lineage to break the generational curse. And then the most important thing is discipline and commitment and dedication because it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
Your lineage is on our shoulders. And I say all the time, if it's not me, then who's it going to be? Do I really want to wait for another Edgar Zavala? How many generations? Because so far, in my lineage at least, no one's done it yet. And I don't knock the people who work hard, but there's a lot of lineage. So do I want to wait 20, 30, 40, 50 years for the next Edgar Zavala to make the decision? That's not going to happen. So take ownership with your last name as well and what you want to create. That's what I would say, Todd.
Yeah, I think that's super valuable. And it, again, yeah, you're not saying necessarily that was bad what these people in your family have done before you, but they've done what they've known. They haven't broken free from what they've already what they've known, what they've seen from their parents and their relatives, and they just continue down that same track. And that's what the vast majority of people do. I mean, look at the neighborhood you grew up in. I
Yeah.
don't know if you track where any of those people are, if you keep in contact with where any of those people are, but my guess is a lot of them aren't doing much different than what their parents were doing.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. 100%. Todd, I couldn't agree more because it's easy.
Mm.
It's easy to do the same thing. It's easy to copy and paste.
Yep.
And it's just you don't realize it when it's a little too late.
Yeah.
And that's when you look back and say, man, I should have, would have, could have. All the should have, the would haves, the could haves. And sometimes what motivates me is I take a look back and I say, imagine if you're on your deathbed, or imagine if you're in the hospital and you're laying there and you're a much older, right? And you look up at the ceiling of the hospital bed or wherever you're at, and you're like, man, I didn't go for it.
Hmm.
What if I would have gone for it?
Yeah.
And that kind of not that it scares me, but it's kind of like that's a reality. How many people right now, Todd, they just copy and pasted, they follow the herd, and they had so much more in them, and now they're in their deathbed, or they're sick, or they're laying there, and they're like, wow, why didn't I go for it?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, how many people are laying in their deathbed say, "Man, I really wish I would have got that Lamborghini, or really wish I would have, done that." But I really wish I would have gone for the the dreams that I had, and I really wish I would have spent more time with the
yeah,
people that I wanted to
yeah,
spend time with. I mean, those are the two big things, and
yeah,
so and that goes back to that 5F formula that you talked about as well.
for sure.
And I
would
heard
also
it.
say, Todd, I would also say, Todd, that another thing that stops a lot of people, that I'm sure we can agree on this, is just the opinions of others. Because, like you
Yeah.
said, right, you're
Yeah.
part of the herd and you become the black sheep, all of a sudden the entire herd looks at you like you're the crazy one. And
Yeah.
so a lot of people operate in fear, and a lot of people they want validation, they want justification, and
Mm,
they like the opinions of others. And unfortunately, the opinion of the herd is not going to get you where you want to go. So,
mm.
that's another one right there is that the fear of opinions of others is a big one.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's with good intentions too. A lot of those opinions are for good intentions. I don't think, certainly some people are trying to hold you back, but I don't think a lot of people are. It's just they're stuck in their fear, and then they see you doing something different, and they want to warn you. They want to say,
Yeah,
"Oh, you got to be careful. You got to just stay where you're at." Right? And they don't mean it like that, but that's exactly what they're trying. That's what they're saying. But that goes to your point of, right? You are the five people you hang out with. That's who you become, and so if you want to make a massive paradigm shift, start thinking about who you're spending the most time with and
yeah,
listening to. Um, yeah, and to the deathbed scenario, I can't remember who said it, but I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about, like, imagine, standing there at the gates of heaven, and a video is played of what your life could have been, and
yeah,
God says, "Hey, you know, you you did okay, but this is what I put you here for."
yeah,
And the video plays of what you could have, who you could have been, who you're meant to be.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
so it's,
Well, God called us for, I say you got to start looking at the fundamentals, right? God called us for abundance. He
mm,
didn't call us for scarcity.
yeah,
He said, multiply and be fruitful. And
yeah,
God gave us dominion of this world, right? First, you seek the kingdom of God, and then He'll give you dominion of your kingdom. And so, a lot of people right now, they forget that the adversary is alive and real and in their mind and in their head and whispering to them their insecurities, their doubts, and keep some at the very bottom. So, yeah, like I said, Ty, you gotta take a step back and realize, okay, the faith part, the faith aspect. Who is my creator? What does my creator want from me? And why am I designed this way? And why do I have these desires? Why do we even have think about it, Tyler. Why do people even want a good life? Why do people want the nice houses? They want the cars. They want the money. They want the lifestyle. They want the freedom because that we were called for abundance. But then all of a sudden, people want nice things or people want change or people don't want to change. The word to. That's action. That's friction. And that's where the enemy starts winning. And that's when you have to take authority of your life and say, you know what? I'm calling for abundance and I'm
Mm,
gonna create the life that I want.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's very true.
Yeah. I love that. Man, Edgar, this has been good. Tell me a little bit about GFI. What are what you guys are doing, what you guys are a little bit more in depth on, how you guys are helping people.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, Todd. So here at Global Financial Impact, we're, a fintech organization and we believe in inspirational marketing where, we build leaders. This is a platform where we're able to provide values. We're able to provide a service when it comes to helping people create generational wealth, pay less in taxes, leave inheritances for your loved ones. Because at the end of the day, we were called to leave riches and wealth for our children's children, right?
Mm,
And we're not doing that. So we like to
yeah.
set up the right fundamentals financially for people, but also it's a platform and organization where it allows people to come in here and get challenged to grow, change their life, and become a better individual. And so we're a national, international company. We're changing many people's lives. We're a community, and we're growing so fast. It's ridiculous. It's so amazing, so inspiring. And
That's
I just put it like this. It's a find a platform where when you learn and you grow, your income follows. And at GFI, the better you get, the more you grow, the more you learn, and the better leader you become, your income drastically grows with it as well. So yeah, that's what we're doing here at Global Financial Impact. And in the next 5 years, we're in the biggest wealth transfer in all of American history right now, Todd. All the baby boomers are looking to retire, but no one's talking about it. But us, we're stepping up to the plate and we're showing up and we're helping people create the right pension plans, create the right retirement plans. And imagine this in 5 years, that's about $8.7 trillion that needs to be moved. You help that money move, you help 1% of that, you're gonna walk away with about $800 million by 2030, just helping 1% of that by doing the right thing.
mm,
So it's about opportunity, opportunity, and this is not gonna happen ever again. So, you can look us up even more. We're all over the place, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, you name it. But that's what we're doing over here, Todd. And I'm proud to be with this organization and take this organization to the next level as well.
love it. Love it. Edgar, I got a couple last questions before we wrap up. What's a mistake that you've made and how have you learned from it?
I guess, well, in business, in life, what do you mean, Todd? Just like a general mistake or,
Yeah, I mean, anything you want to talk about, maybe it's a specific thing that you did in business or a specific thing you've done in life. It doesn't
yeah,
matter where you want to go with it. I think it's
yeah,
super important for people to learn from other people's mistakes.
sure.
But it's
Yeah,
also so important for you to go, this is why I think it's
yeah.
valuable, right?
Yeah, I say all the time, I say smart people learn from their own mistakes, wise people learn from others.
Yeah.
And so I guess one of the biggest mistakes that I made, and I wouldn't, call it mistakes. I would say it's learning, right? It's just a first attempt at learning. When you fail, it's first attempt in learning. So
Mhm.
my first attempt in learning and my quote unquote mistake, I guess when I was in business, I was so focused on the money in the very beginning stages, right? I was so focused on the dollar sign in the beginning stages. But remember, the money you make should always be a byproduct of the people you help and the person you become in the
Right.
process. Money's just a byproduct. And so my biggest mistake is I was so focused on the dollar sign that as I wasn't focused on becoming the individual that could even handle the dollar sign. And that's a recipe for disaster. When you want the money, but you don't become the person that can handle the money,
Yeah.
you're gonna lose it. So I went through a stage in my business where I was so money driven. I was so money focused. I wasn't mission driven. I was commission driven, right? Mission over commission always. And I lost myself. And then all of a sudden, where I felt stagnant and I wasn't really producing the way I wanted to in my business, I didn't know what to blame it on. Because sometimes we always find excuses, right? We always find things to point fingers on. And I had again another paradigm shift. So my biggest tip for people, for other entrepreneurs, or for people who want to get in and get their hands dirty and grow and become a better individual is don't get obsessed or focused about the money. The money will come when you start fixing other people's problems and you become a better individual. That's when it's gonna come, and it's gonna overflow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not that you don't charge for your services for whatever your product or for whatever that is. But if you're focused on just the dollars, you might get the dollars for a temporary period of time, but
Mhm.
like you discovered, I mean, it's not it's good, it's fleeting, right?
It's
But
so
if you're
fleeting.
focused on the mission, you're focused on how are you helping, creating, growing people and whoever you're serving, that's where the magic starts to happen. That's where
Yeah,
and that's where it's giving as well. Because if you're just focused on the dollars, it's just selfish. It's just selfish,
yeah,
and if you can't.
exactly.
I don't think you can sustain that for too long of a period of time because it's
That's what
just
you
about
can.
you. But if you have a true mission, like
Exactly.
that's about something big, and that's
Yeah,
all right. That's awesome. That's what we all want as well. I
absolutely.
think
Absolutely.
most of us at least want to create something bigger than ourselves. That's what I want at least, and it sounds like that's what you want.
Legacy.
Yeah,
Legacy. When you chase legacy, Todd, and you want legacy, you will become successful in life. So absolutely, I couldn't agree more with you right there, Todd.
yeah. What's a favorite book?
Man, there's a couple favorite, you know. I would say the most fundamental one that for the listeners, for the viewers, for the people who want to really change their mindset and perspective it's a classic one. Classic, classic, classic is Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, love that book.
Think and Grow Rich. Because Think and Grow Rich is going to allow you to have multiple paradigm shifts within one book. And I think that's a very powerful one. I would say another one is Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and then 48 Laws of Power. So my number one would be Think and Grow Rich, and then it would be Rich Dad Poor Dad for those who want to just kind of look at the matrix or look at the zeros and the ones per se, right? You know, the that are like, how do I break generational wealth? Read that one book. And then 40 Laws of Power. You start understanding human nature. You can control your life, control your destiny when you start understanding human nature.
Yeah, love
Yeah.
that. All right, last question before we wrap. What are your three pillars of wealth creation?
My three pillars of wealth creation, man, that's an awesome question, Todd. I would say the first pillar is self-development. The first pillar is self-development. You have to change your mindset, aka you start have to absorbing the right information, because if you're listening to music that's depressing and sad and talks about scarcity, you're not going to be able to think different. So
Yeah,
the first pillar is self-development. Listen to the right podcasts, watch the right YouTube videos, find motivation stuff, read the right books, listen to the right people. So number one is self-development. I would say the second pillar is find a mentor, find a coach that can lead you in the path you want, whether it's financially, whether it's personally, whether it's professionally, whether it's, in a certain industry. Because like smart people learn from their own mistakes, wise people learn from others.
yeah.
I would say find a coach, find a mentor that's doing it already, so you can get to their position in a quarter of the time. That's what I tell the people that I've won. I've won doing X amount of time frame. But now people are coming in, in our business and with me, and I'm training them, and they're winning even faster than I did. And then the last pillar, I would say, is I would say the last pillar would be, um, wow, that's a great question. Last pillar would be start start planning a legacy. Start planning a legacy. When I say start planning a legacy, plan out 10 to 15 years out. What does that look like for you? Who is that person? Who do you need to become? Because sometimes we get so caught up in our past, but your past does not determine your future. So you need to start establishing who does that future person going to look like and how they're going to act and how they're going to be. And then all of a sudden, you need to work backwards and be like, okay, what do I need to start putting in place to become that individual or make that individual be here sooner? Like if you picture yourself on stages, good. Start doing the things that can get you on stage. If you picture yourself, changing people's lives, good. Start doing things that can change people's lives. If you picture yourself having the houses, the cars, the lifestyle, great. Put the right things in place to make that happen. So those are the three pillars. If you do that, it's inevitable for you to become successful, for you to become wealthy. and that dollar sign to be to then be the byproduct of the life you want.
Love it, Edgar. Man, this has been fantastic. This You've really actually surprised me with just how much um, passion you have with this, with what you've talked about today, and just a ton of really good, actionable information you've given our listeners. You know, I mean, look, if you're a listener and you need it, this is an episode where this will allow you to start thinking about that paradigm shift. Um, Work doesn't create wealth. You got to have some friction to make those changes, and just so much good, valuable information here. So I really appreciate you being on the show. How can our listeners get in touch with you?
Yeah, the most simple way right now is through my Instagram at Zavala underscore Edgar 25. It's Zavala underscore EDGAR 25. Once you go there, go to the link in my bio. You can learn more about what we're doing here in our organization and the platform that I'm leveraging, the industry that I'm in that's allowed me to build wealth and build success, personally, professionally, and especially financially. And then also learn about what it takes to if you want to become a mentee, or if you want to be coached by me, or if you want to work alongside me, a link on how to become a partner, so that we can see if I'm a good fit for you, you're a good fit for me, and see how we can work together to build wealth. Because again, like I said, right, you are the sum of the five people you hang around with the most, and if your circle isn't motivating you, if your circle isn't inspiring you, Todd, you don't have a circle, you have a cage.
Hmm,
So it's about time to break that cage.
love
So
that.
that's the best way to get in touch with me. For the person that gets in touch with me, I can almost guarantee that you will be a much better individual, not just monetarily, but in many other ways. And I'm excited to meet those people who really want to change their life forever alongside me. So yeah.
I really like that last quote. I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna give you credit, but I'm gonna post that on LinkedIn and then I'm gonna take it for myself. But look, if your
Uh,
circle isn't motivating you, isn't getting you in the direction you want to go, it's not a circle, it's a cage. That's awesome.
the cage. Yeah, absolutely. I've seen it
Edgar,
time and time
again,
again.
yeah, it really appreciate you, and you have a fantastic rest of the day.
All right. Awesome, Todd. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you being a loyal listener. Say, I would love to have you go on to our Facebook page and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Go on to iTunes or wherever you listen and give us a rating and review. Don't forget to subscribe. Your rating and review just helps us push this out to more and more people and continue to grow our audience and hopefully positively affect a ton of people out there that really need this and want this. So the other thing I've got for you is a free ebook on my website. So go on to venturedproperties.com, and download our free ebook on real estate and on syndication. And I've got some data points in there, some really good stuff for you. So I'd love to have you take a look at that. It's free. I'm not expecting anything from it. And also, look, if you want some help in multifamily, want some help learning, growing, getting your business off the ground, I would love to talk to you about what it would look like to work with me potentially and see if that's a good fit. So you can go to coachwithdex.com and check that out. And we can definitely have a call. Thanks a lot for listening. You make it a fantastic rest of the day. I'll catch you on the next episode.